So here we go then with the final chapter of this third cable and wireless test match, as Alex Stewart and Michael Atherton, the two England openers, make their way to the middle. The West Indies are already there to greet them, and a little huddle going on there between Curtly Ambrose, Richie Richardson and Winston Benjamin. Can't think what they're discussing. Presumably how to knock England over as quickly as possible and put them under the immense pressure that early wickets would certainly do. So the West Indies need early wickets, England need a solid start. There are 15 overs to go on this, the fourth day of the third test match, and England know they need 194. They're 194 runs away from a test win, which they desperately need. We will go to the commentary box and see how our two experts up there think it might pan out, and it's going to be David Gower with Michael Holding.
Well, there's one big lone Antiguan fast bowler who's going to open proceedings for the West Indies. A key man, Curtly Ambrose, no doubt about that. He's actually just come out of conference there. There was a little brains trust of the Antiguan Fast Bowling Union. Winston Benjamin, Kenny Benjamin, Richard Richardson, the captain, was there as well, all offering their own words of encouragement to this man. But he's been through this before. Mike Atherton, well, I won't say it's an entirely new experience for him. But depending how, firstly, these last 15 overs of today work out, and of course whatever's required tomorrow, depending on all that, will be whether or not Mike Atherton enjoys this particular experience. I wouldn't describe this as a situation in which you'd say you were just going to have fun. There are many other things I can think of that come first for pure enjoyment, but this is a real test match now. The game absolutely poised, very finely balanced indeed. And I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen. Oh, that's very close first ball, and that's exactly the start that Curtly Ambrose and Richard Richardson would really have dreamed of. Curtly Ambrose absolutely dead on target. The first ball of England's second innings, and Michael Atherton is going to do nothing more for the rest of this game than watch.
The West Indies couldn't have asked for a better start at all. Curtly Ambrose immediately on target. Atherton being hit plumb in front. Well, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Plumb in front, and England lose their first wicket on 0.
So England none for 1. And the crowds here in Port of Spain, Trinidad, really have come to life again. They've had a pretty tense day, as well as much as the players have. And they're allowing themselves the luxury of a few grins if you're a West Indian supporter. And there'll be a few long faces amongst the English supporters. Now Mark Ramprakash, what a situation this is for him. One ball of this innings gone, 1 wicket down. This was it. Curtly Ambrose straight on target, nipping back into Mike Atherton. Very close indeed to that off stump when the ball hit him, but Mike Atherton had gone nowhere. Stuck on the crease, beaten by the nip back from Curtly Ambrose. And what a start for the West Indies. Well, this really is a stern test for Mark Ramprakash. 2 and 5 he made in Georgetown. 23 he made in the first innings here in Port of Spain. Seems to have a bit of a thing about the 20s against the West Indies. Went through an entire 5 test match series against them in 1991 without getting more than 29. Averaged about 23, just over 23 in that series. there is a man absolutely focused on the task in hand. One ball is bowled, one wicket is taken. Mark Ramprakash and England can smile a little bit. And although there are only 15 overs to be bowled for the rest of this day here in Trinidad, they could take some time. There's going to be no sense of a need to rush amongst the West Indies fielders. They just want to make sure they get everything absolutely right. And bat meets ball for the first time in this England second innings.
Well, the West Indies got an ideal start, but apart from that fact, I don't think the West Indies could complain too much about the fact that they only have 15 overs to bowl this afternoon. That is an ideal situation as well. You're going to see a very happy man here, Curtly Ambrose, if he continues to bowl as well as he has bowled those two balls so far. But certainly with just the 15 overs to bowl before close of play, Ambrose and the other fast bowlers for the West Indies, when they do get the ball in their hands, can afford to just charge in. They know it's not a long spell. Run in, give it all they have got, and after 15 overs they'll be back in the pavilion having a rest. They couldn't want anything better.
First runs for England. Oh, trouble here, trouble. This is absolute disaster for England. And that really is a complete tragedy. Mark Ramprakash is the man run out. England are now 1 for 2. And as Mark Ramprakash came back for a second run there to take on Courtney Walsh's arm, we'll have a look at this in a moment. He found himself with Curtly Ambrose blocking his way, changed his mind. That was where the indecision came in. Tucked away to long leg. Courtney Walsh has 15 yards to his left to make. Ramprakash turns, hesitates. Curtly Ambrose in the middle of the wicket there. Alex Stewart has come. And although the throw is 2 yards off target, that was the result. Events have really overtaken Robin Smith here. Let's have another look at that run out there of Mark Ramprakash.
I think that in the beginning this certainly was a comfortable two, and you can see there when Courtney Walsh had the ball in his hands, Mark Ramprakash had already started to go, but Curtly Ambrose just in his way and decided, well, I'm not seeing exactly what's happening, I'm going to hesitate. Alex Stewart didn't hesitate, he kept going. And that's the end of Mark Ramprakash.
Ramprakash came down very quickly for that first signal and turned immediately. Started to come for that second run. That's why Alex Stewart went. So he saw his partner turn and come immediately. What that really needed in that situation was for Ramprakash to turn, take stock of the situation. A call of weight would have saved all that trouble. But it wasn't to be. So England, in the space of 5 balls, are now 2 down. Only 1 run on the board. Robin Smith is certainly at the crease a lot earlier than he would have hoped for. And he's going to need all his fighting qualities now to try and help steer England away from trouble. 1 ball left of Curtly Ambrose's first over. 1 wicket to him, 2 wickets to West Indies. What's going to happen next? Well, Robin Smith punting his bat there. Now there is a determined man. That's an extraordinary start for West Indies. 1 over gone. Ambrose's figures 1 for 1.
Well, from the start of the day, things have been going the West Indies' way. When they start to bat, a couple of chances for Chandra Paul. And now, with the ball in their hands, everything again going the West Indies' way. Currently, Ambrose immediately getting on target with that one-ball delivery, the one-ball dismissal, rather, of Mike Atherton, and then the mix-up and the run-out. It certainly has been a good day so far for the West Indies in every respect.
Courtney Walsh then, bowling the first over this innings from the northern end. Alex Stewart's first ball. And yes, you did hear a firm call of wait. Robin Smith, England's most experienced batsman, Alex Stewart, one of the men who's been in good touch, in good form on this tour. That's close too, but should be going down leg side. And despite the excitement out on the field and in the stands, the umpire safely, for England's purposes, saying not out.
And as you can see there, that ball did quite a lot. Alex Stewart hadn't gotten a lot forward, but it did enough to have missed the leg stump. Certainly very safe there, and we saw Junior Murray heading down the leg side. I think that ball was safely going down the leg side.
Yes, it's always a key point here for an umpire to bear in mind when Courtney Walsh is the bowler, as he does tend to bowl from wide of the crease. And so the standard angle for Courtney Walsh is one that's coming in from quite wide of off stump in towards the stumps. Basically, that angle of attack is, imagine the ball's coming from somewhere around here when Courtney Walsh lets it go. And so anything really coming in towards the stumps, if it's hitting the batsman in front of the stumps, then the line of that ball is going to take it down towards the leg side. Well, Richardson across quickly but unable to stop it. A little bit of a bobble as that ball reached the West Indies captain. And for the first time in this innings, the runs overtake the wickets. 3 for 2 England. It's in the gap as well. Just the one this time to Alex Stewart. England now 4 for 2. Well, there'll be some pretty tense people sitting in that little box there. Mike Atherton, one of the men already out for England in this second innings. Obviously don't think he's going to concentrate very hard on that newspaper. There'll be enough happening out in the middle. Alex Stewart will be facing Curtly Ambrose for the first time in this innings. There's one there if they want it. That was wide of second slip. And Richard Richardson setting a mixed field, you might call it. Certainly not overly attacking, and the events of that first over meant that he didn't really need to be. Things just happened for themselves. He's got two slips in there. One man in at short leg, and the rest, two in the covers, two on the leg side, you can still see there. All saving one. That's out! Robin Smith is gone! What more can you ask of Curtly Ambrose? If ever you've got a crisis, send for Curtly, and that's the end of the crisis. Robin Smith, comprehensively beaten as he played forward. England in complete disarray.
Well, Curtly Ambrose, a great fast bowler for the West Indies, has done it again. I've seen Robin Smith get bowled for the second time now in this series on the forward defensive. And each time after the ball has passed, the stroke looks almost correct, but the gap was there, the ball went right through. England now 5 for 3.
Well, that really is an extraordinary start to this England second innings. Curtly Ambrose really is the catalyst for batsmen to see absolutely nothing, it looks like. Robin Smith bringing that bat in from outside the off stump. By the time he's finished the shot, it looks immaculate. But it's really the problem where the bat hasn't come down straight, it's come across the line of the ball. And Curtly Ambrose really has been spot on target. You can see there a perfect view. That bat came from really the line of second slip. Ends up in a perfect position there, but by then it's too late. The off stump has gone cartwheeling away. And Curtly Ambrose has taken his second wicket in no time whatsoever.
And now it's Graham Hick's turn. He could be the saviour for England. Certainly has the ability to make big scores. Has been having a few problems on this tour so far, but this certainly is a great opportunity for him to come good. His nemesis with the ball in his hand, will he allow him to?
Well, I don't know who's writing the script for this match. I don't think it's an Englishman now. Curtly Ambrose figures looking quite impressive, to say the least. 1.2 overs. He's not even got loose yet. No maidens, that's a bit of a shock. 2 wickets for 1 run. Well, trouble again. Graham Hick very keen to get off the mark. Keith Atherton coming in like an express train from cover. And Alex Stewart was having to hurry.
Graham Hick certainly anxious to get off the mark, but if Keith Atherton had picked that up, it would have been very close indeed. But who can blame Graham Hick for trying to get away from the strike? This man, Curtly Ambrose, has been a menace.
Absolutely certain that the crowd here are absolutely expecting something to happen every ball now. They're all right on the edge of their seats. He's keeping in touch. Should be 1 down to third man. Winston Benjamin down there. this target of 194, England desperately need to stay in this series. Looks somewhat like a bit of a mountain to climb now. 7 for 3 the score. Tapped off his hips this time by Graham Hick. Score is 8 for 3. West Indies averaging 1 wicket per over. Courtney Walsh must be feeling left out. Curtly Ambrose have got 2. Mark Ramprakash run out, of course. And Courtney Walsh being made to wait while Graham Hick does a little bit of gardening in the middle of the pitch. Just taking time to compose himself. Close, but going down leg side. Again, that angle of delivery from Courtney Walsh.
Yes, if Courtney Walsh wants to do that much off the seam, he has to pitch the ball quite a bit further outside the off stump. That ball again angled down the leg side. Again, as you can see there, Graham Hick well back, but too much movement off the seam.
Well, that's past Keith Arthurton. And that'll run away for 4. It's a nice shot from Graham Hick, nicely timed.
One of the few misfields you'll see from Keith Arthurton.
Well, both Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose have concentrated very much on keeping the ball right up to the bat so far. They know that the English batsmen have had problems playing the shorter deliveries. They know that the English batsmen are aware of what's possible, but they've been attacking that off stump almost exclusively. One thing Graham Hick must do, of course, is put out of his mind absolutely every thought apart from concentrating solely on that cricket ball that's coming towards him. Whatever problems he's had today, a couple of drop chances and he slips there, those have got to go. They're behind him. Well, that's going to be a tester. Not out. 12 for 3. 11 overs remaining on this fourth day's play.
And the way this man, Curtly Ambrose, has been bowling, one would think that he will be bowling 6 of those 11. If bad light doesn't stop play, that is. Curtly Ambrose certainly has been bowling well.
Alex Stewart in a little bit of trouble there. Not the first man to feel the force of Curtly Ambrose's delivery on the glove.
I think Alex Stewart there had a mind to try and pull that delivery, but I think he also thought of the fact that England are not in a very good position at the moment and decided, well, let me just try and drop it down by my toes. Took them on the glove.
Edged away. It's going to be a test for Winston Benjamin. He's not going to make it. And 4 very precious runs to England.
Well, just as England, or rather the West Indies, didn't mind how they got their runs in their second innings, England won't mind how they get theirs either. This target of 194 runs, doesn't matter how they do come. Off the edge, off the middle. Once they survive, they'll be happy.
Just watch this position Alex Stewart gets into again here. Again, right back in the crease there. Now, batting crease, popping crease right in front of him there. And he's been forced back into that position. Just remember that ball, always close there for Graham Hick having to hurry through. Just going back to Alex Stewart there, he's been forced back. If you remember that ball 3 balls ago, caused that particular damage that he's looking at. They're the one that really rammed his fingers up against the bat handle. That's the sort of delivery from Curtly Ambrose that, in effect, prevents batsmen coming forward. Something we've talked about almost endlessly through these last couple of test matches. It really is very hard to convince yourself you're going to go forward after a ball like that. End of the over, 17 now for 3. No one yet into double figures for England in this second innings. Alex Stewart, the closest there on 9. 2 ducks already, Atherton and Smith. 2 of the men in whom England really would have had greatest faith to try and help steer them towards this target of 194 that they still need for victory in this third test match. Responsibility will have gone now firmly onto the shoulders of Alex Stewart and Graham Hick. Richard Richardson will have memories of the test match in Barbados, April '92, when West Indies beat South Africa. South Africa's return to international cricket. A total then of 201 was needed by South Africa, and they were bowled out for 148. Nice bit of fielding from Winston Benjamin. Moved very quickly to that ball. Good one-handed pickup.
And both Benjamin and Ambrose converging on that ball, but with the ball going to Winston, Benjamin's right hand and to Ambrose's left. Ambrose, of course, doing the right thing and leaving it for Winston Benjamin.
Test match I was starting to refer to against South Africa was Richie Richardson's first test match as West Indies captain. He's hiding behind there somewhere. As I said, South Africa needed 201 to win, eventually bowled out for 148. Two men only got into double figures. Kepler Wessels got 74 and Peter Kirsten 52. First genuine bouncer of the innings. First time that Courtney Walsh has really dug that ball in. Short enough for Graham Hick to get well underneath it. And so Richie Richardson eventually able to record a victory in his first test match as captain. And South Africa had been 122 for 2 overnight. They collapsed completely the final morning of the game. Oh, that's well bowled. Graham Hick wasn't quite so sure where that one was.
And that certainly was a quick bouncer. That's the one for the over. Venkat would have told him.
Graham Hick just seemed to lose sight of that, and he's saying to himself, thank God that's missed. England move on to 18 for 3. For 3 then, England. And that's pushed nicely through the offside. That's a chase for Richardson. Alex Stewart will take the third.
Bowlers never like to see too many runs coming off their bowling, but I don't think Curtly Ambrose would mind those 3 runs all that much. What that has done is put Graham Hick back on strike. And we all know the history of the Curtly Ambrose and Graham Hick confrontations. I would think the more confident of the two would certainly be Curtly Ambrose.
Knows it's out. That's a thin little nick from Graham Hick. And this man Ambrose can do absolutely no wrong whatsoever. An indeterminate shot from Graham Hick really hasn't been his day at all. If it's anyone's day, it's certainly Curtly Ambrose's.
Well, just as I said, Curtly Ambrose wouldn't have minded those 3 runs. Graham Hick just pushing at this delivery just outside the off stump. Feet not really moving at all, and Curtly Ambrose does it again. Graham Hick wouldn't want to be seeing this man too often. England now 21 for 4 and not in a very good position at all.
This really is the most disappointing possible situation for England. Curtly Ambrose has ripped the heart out of the England batting in the space of the first 7 overs of England's second innings. Keith Fletcher must be just about in the depths of despair. There's absolutely nothing Keith Fletcher can do about a situation like this, sat up there in the pavilion. The only men who can possibly do anything are the players themselves. Graham Thorpe, who batted so well in England's first innings, now really has what looks like an almost impossible situation to contend with.
Curtly Ambrose, not one to be afraid to express his feelings. And look at that. He knew he had another.
This man really is worth his weight in gold. In fact, in terms of, anything more precious must be the analogy. West Indies have an immense tradition of very potent fast bowlers. Curtly Ambrose is absolutely priceless to them. 3 for 12 Curtly Ambrose has already. He's only bowled 3.2 overs here. Been a touch expensive. We really are struggling to find anything to complain about when we talk about Curtly Ambrose. An absolutely outstanding start by him. If there was a most valuable player award, then Richard Richardson would be handing it to this man every game. Graham Thorpe, not the tallest of men, found that very easy to duck underneath.
And we haven't seen too many balls really kick off this pitch in a great pace, but that one certainly did. When it got to Junior Murray, it was still on the way up. This man really is fired up, Curtly Ambrose. Junior Murray had problems holding it on the first occasion.
It's an interesting field that Curtly Ambrose and Richard Richardson have set. There's a man out there at deep square leg for the pull or hook shot. And I would guess at this stage that the last thing on Graham Thorpe's mind is the possibility really of playing either. Despite the fact that Curtly Ambrose is 3 for 12, just about to finish his 4th over, still just the 2 slips, just the one man in at short leg there, Jimmy Adams in his accustomed position. The man behind screen on the offside at backward point. Well left. England finish that over at 21 for 4. Seven overs down, gone, 4 wickets down. Hooked away by Alex Stewart in the gap. That's split Curtly Ambrose and Winston Benjamin. It's Benjamin who does the fielding. It's been 7 overs of real high drama. I've had enough. To carry on the commentary for now, it's Jeff Boycott and Tony Cozier.
You sure you don't want to stay, David? He's gone already.
Let him go, Tony. He's got enough wickets.
Well, that's why I want him back. 7 overs remaining after this one. Well, a chance for glory for someone for England here. But at the moment, all the glory is with the West Indies. And more especially Curtly Ambrose. Here's Walsh.
Yes, the ball's carrying quite nicely from both the opening bowlers. It's hard ball, new, shiny, just bouncing through. Not out. Pitching outside leg stump. Courtney Walsh knew it soon after he'd appealed. The heat and excitement of the moment. Just shout for the LBW, and then your cricket experience takes over. It tells you that no, it was pitched outside.
Crowd really involved in this match now. Every decision is being appealed by the crowd, if not by the players. They were even jumping and stamping and clapping in the press box a while ago when those 2 wickets fell in the first over. It has been a fascinating day's play, where the pendulum, the balance of the match has swung so decisively now. And who is to say it's been swung for the last time? Once more, the resilience, the character of this West Indies team has been tested, as it has been so frequently since Richie Richardson has taken over the captaincy, especially. And once more they've come through.
Well, Courtney Walsh has not taken long today to decide to go from over the wicket to around to the left-hander Graham Thorpe. I mentioned in the first innings he didn't bother for a long time while Graham Thorpe was making his runs. He bowled. 22 for 4.
Alex Stewart has been there from the start. Seen 4 wickets fall, 3 to Ambrose, who he now has to handle. 1 run out and confused calling between himself and Martin Ramprakash.
Well, from England's point of view, you've got to think that Alex Stewart and Graham Thorpe, the Surrey connection, have both got to make good scores, because there's not much batting to come out of these two. We're really left with Jack Russell, who sticks around, got a lot of courage, but not expecting to make a big score. And then Chris Lewis, his test average is 25, which means he's capable of making 20 or 30 runs, but the tail after that, the stickability players. Salisbury, I don't expect Caddick or Fraser to hang around much, so it will be a very despondent England dressing room. All England's hopes on these 2 batsmen now.
It's going to beat him to the boundary. Hit it in the air, but hit it well enough. Jimmy Adams taking cover.
Yes, Alex Stewart, he's the best timer of a ball in the England side. Takes the ball slightly on the up. He's used to the ball coming on. His pitch at the Oval is quite true and bouncy. And so he never really has a problem scoring runs. Once he's in, there's a good array of shots and excellent timing, but the problem is that low ball. He tends to stay back a bit. When he gets those fairly good length deliveries, not short, not right up, where you can choose to play back or forward, he tends to play back. And if it bounces a little bit, it hits him high on the pad, but if it happens to keep low, then he's in big trouble.
That's it. Wicket number 5. Curtly Ambrose strikes once more. The Queen's Park Oval is absolutely jumping. England are 26 for 5.
Well, what a performance by Curtly Ambrose. I've said all along, he's a class act, a truly great bowler. The only great bowler on show. There's some good ones, but great he really is. Fantastic performance. He's just blowing away England. Fast, hostile, accurate. Really played all around that Alex Stewart. The ball didn't do a lot. It was the line, it was the length of it, and the pace and aggression. 26 for 5.
There's Curtly Ambrose, the hero of the moment. He's taken those 4 wickets in 4 overs and 5 balls. He's rocked the stumps out of the ground twice. The very first delivery, he removed the linchpin of the England innings, the captain, Mike Atherton. He's had Graham Hick caught behind, and England are in desperate straits. New batsman is Ian Salisbury, who has shown such courage and resistance in the 2 test matches he's played, that even though he has been promoted in the order at this late stage, I don't think one could really refer to him as a night watchman in the truest sense.
Yeah, the difference for Ian Salisbury is that when he gets into bat, usually the ball is a bit older, or even if it's the second new ball, usually the bowlers are much more tired, but here he's got a fired-up Ambrose. Ball still new, it's hardly had time to get old. I mean, they talk about a boxer in England being the Dark Destroyer, but I think Ambrose is terrific performance.
And that ends the over, and there'll be a great cheer around this Queen's Park Oval for the man of the moment. They're standing to him already. They really haven't seen him over the years here at his lethal best. It's not the kind of pitch which usually accommodates fast bowlers. Kensington Oval, Barbados has been his main hunting ground. But now he goes back to a tremendous ovation from the crowd down on the boundary.
Well, Richard Richardson said in the first test that Kirtley wasn't warmed up. I think he's hot now. Very few people in here today, but they are making some noise. The whole atmosphere is electric. Just played all around it. I mean, it came back a little bit, but you expect that. It wasn't a big break back. I mean, he stood back playing through the ball, on the up, and he can't understand how he missed it.
Here's the man that top scored in the first innings. He got 84. Well, England certainly can do some resistance from him now. Graham Thorpe. Neither batsman has a run on the board yet. Five overs after this one. The light's brightening, so I think we will get them through. Just another 11 minutes until the schedule will close, so that should carry us down until about 20 minutes past 5. And with the light now brightening, there doesn't seem any real danger that we'll go off because of fading light, as was the case about half an hour ago. So Salisbury comes in now to take strike from Walsh. If these two can go through to tomorrow, England will feel, well, not all is lost. Target now of 194, which at the beginning of the innings looked to be demanding. Now looks to be a real mountain for them.
Well, another lowish delivery there that Ian Salisbury stayed back to. I've said all along, you do so at your peril on this pitch. It just snakes in, but keeps low. That would have hit him on about the kneecap roll. So difficult to get forward when bowlers as tall and aggressive as Walsh are running in.
England are 27-4-6. An unbelievable collapse here on the Queen's Park Oval. West Indians are jumping around both on and off the field.
Well, this is beginning to be a nightmare for England, a nightmare that won't go away. I mean, who would have believed this would have happened? With a realistic chance of winning for England. Salisbury just hanging out his bat, nice slip catch. And the West Indies bowlers just blowing England away. 27-for-6.
knock them down, says the sign in typical Trinidadian language. And typical Trinidadian humor as well. There is Tetley on the logo of the player who's come out. That's Jack Russell. He comes up to replace Ian Salisbury.
Well, Ian Salisbury not really behind that ball. I said the ball before, he stayed back when he ought to have been thinking of getting forward. The ball kept low and he just stood back again and hung his bat out.
It's off the pad. Gone away for 4-leg byes. So England moved to 31 for 6 at the end of the over.
Well, we could see here Courtney Walsh was really souped up. Very quick delivery that pitched. He rolled his fingers over, he went down, he went running down the pitch, Courtney Walsh. He finished up the same end as Jack Russell. A lot of emotion and passion here from the West Indies, some terrific bowling. 31 for 6. Well, Courtney Walsh got a good wicket there, but to be fair to Curtly Ambrose, the crowd are waiting for him. He's next over, he's the one they're waiting for. He's the dark destroyer that's got this collapse underway and kept it going.
So the two left-handers together now who held up the West Indies for so long in the first innings. The situation here now is so completely different. In that first innings, apart from Ambrose himself, the West Indies looked very flat. Didn't have the energy, the electricity which is being generated here this afternoon. Once their batsmen have given them this kind of target to bowl at, 194 for England to get, the bowlers have really come back, and especially Ambrose, and exerted their superiority. Ambrose with 4 of the wickets. Since he came into the West Indies team back in 1988 as an unknown. Came in after just 1 full season of Red Stripe Cup competition. He only had 6 first-class matches behind him, and since then he's played every test match with the exception of 1 when he was ill. Got his 200th test wicket in the last test in Georgetown, Guyana, and is providing further evidence here why he is considered the finest fast bowler in contemporary cricket. A lot of contenders for that position. Pakistanis Wasim Akram and Waqar Younis, Craig McDermott of Australia, Alan Donald of South Africa.
Well, I think there's only 2 of those, Tony, that are anywhere near the class and quality of Curtly Ambrose. That's Waqar Younis of Pakistan and Wasim Akram of Pakistan. Those 2 maybe, but he's a fantastic fast bowler, is Curtly Ambrose. Class.
Shot. Flicked it away off the legs. It's going to go for 4. Slightly over pitching, and Graham Thorpe takes advantage of it. Correction, Russell takes advantage of it. Gets a nice looking 4 off his legs.
Yes, in these situations for the English players, they've just got to hang around. Curtly Ambrose trying a Yorker, leg stump Yorker, just a slightly full toss. It really means courage from Jack Russell and Graham Thorpe. Just hang around, stay in there. Just wait until close of play. Just be there tomorrow morning.
So that's the end of an over in which Curtly Ambrose didn't take a wicket. 36 for 6. Ambrose just rehearsing what he should have done in that over. Well, that's a very sorry looking scoreboard for England. 194 was the target they were set. Atherton out first ball of the innings. Robin Smith stumped, the leg stump knocked out of the ground. He had only 2 deliveries. Ian Salisbury, the third of the Ducks up there.
Well, you just had proof there of why I feel that Graham Thorpe has more difficulty when Courtney Walsh goes around the wicket. He was looking half to duck, and then he finished up having to play the ball, which was only about waist high in the end. Just does cause left-handers problems at times, this going around the wicket. They used to right arm over, sliding across them towards the slips from right arm over. Courtney Walsh just signalling to his man on the pull, or pull hook shot on the boundary there. He wants him exactly in a certain position, which is fairly square.
No ball. Venkat making the signal. So adds to the score. 37 for 6. It's not a big target for England, but at the moment it is a long way away. Anyone who knows this game of cricket will know that if there's a partnership building, things can get tense again, but right now the West Indies are right on top. So the change in the order which we saw from England with Salisbury coming in didn't work. Lasted just 3 deliveries. Once again, Richardson's team has shown its tremendous powers of recovery. He's fought back so many times under his captaincy. He hasn't been in long. And ends the over from Walsh, 37 for 6. So just another 3 overs left for the day. Phil Simmons has come onto the field. He's replacing Desmond Haynes. And here's Curtly Ambrose. He'll have 2 of those overs. Now in his 7th. And he really has exerted himself. So perhaps the big man, just at this moment, is beginning to tire a little bit. He really put everything in to that early spell of his. Viv Richards once described him as one of the strongest men he'd ever known. But there is a limit to what he can do.
Yes, if he doesn't get another wicket, though, Tony, he's broken the back of the England batting. So, tiredness or not, he'll sleep very well tonight.
West Indies' position, of course, here, thanks in the main to Ambrose, but not solely. This boy here, Shivnarayan Chandapal, made 50 today, and Winston Benjamin got into the 30s. Very important runs. Pushed the West Indies lead, allowed them to set England as many as 194. There were just 67 in the lead when they started today. So the batsmen have provided this type of lead for the bowlers to work on. Chandapal, age 19 in only his 2nd test match, showing tremendous character. He was dropped when he was only 4 today by Graham Hickett's slip. Hick again dropped him much later on.
Well, he seemed to lose that Jack Russell, not quite know where it was or whether he's going to duck or play it. And you really don't have much time to change your mind against quick bowling. That's why it's so difficult for tail-enders, late-order batsmen. You've seen how tough it is for the front-line batsmen. You have a split second to make up your mind, and you better get your judgment right. That's hurt him, hasn't it, on his hand? Well, this was the ball that did the damage. Put him on the glove. It looks as if he's in a bit of pain, but he's going to carry on.
I was having a discussion there with Venkatragavan, the umpire, and not sure what that was about. Venkatragavan then had a word with the standing umpire. I think they just said get on with it. That's gone. Simmons takes the catch, a second slip. England are 37 now, and that is the 7th wicket to have fallen.
Well, it was the ball before that did the damage, not only to Jack Russell's hand, but in his mind. That's the key to fast bowling. If you can get inside the batsman's mind where he's wary of you, then you've got him, and that's what Curtly Ambrose did. The short ball banged in, Jack turned away, got a knock on his hand, it was painful, and then this was another banging ball, and he really didn't know what he was doing. He just hung the bat out, and that was a classic fast bowler's dismissal. Soften up the batsman, stick in the short ball, hit him if you can, and then after that it should be quite simple to get him out. Sad for England, but again, top class fast bowling.
So Jack Russell goes back to the dressing room, the 7th England batsman to do so. Curtly Ambrose has his 5th wicket in the innings and his 10th wicket in the match.
See Jack just sort of, he's going to duck, or isn't he? And then he moves away and he just hangs the bat out, and a very simple catch, a second slip. But he aimed it at the body, the ball before, and then he aimed it at the body again and got his reward, did Curtly Ambrose.
It's the 3rd time he's taken 10 wickets in a match, in a test, and on both the previous occasions they were instrumental in West Indian victory after it looked as if the opposition would either hold on for a draw or win. In Bridgetown in 1990, Jack Russell, whom he's just removed, was hanging on for England. It looked as if they would draw the match, and Ambrose took the second new ball and demolished the England innings and finished with 8 wickets in that innings. And then in Adelaide last year, in that famous finish where the West Indies won by 1 run, Ambrose took 10 wickets in that test as well. Well, he's got 10 here again, and the match, which looked as if it was in England's grasp at the start of the day, is now very much and very firmly in the West Indies' grasp. New batsman coming out is Chris Lewis at the non-striker's end. Another over after this, and it'll be bowled by Curtly Ambrose. He's the first West Indian fast bowler to take 10 wickets in a match here at the Queen's Park Oval against England. An indication, surely, that this pitch here tends to be slow, doesn't tend to favour the fast bowlers. But when you're a fast bowler like Curtly Ambrose, it really doesn't matter too much what you bowl on.
I don't think you'd better tell the England batsman that, Tony, that it's not too quick, this pitch, and it doesn't favour fast bowlers. I don't think they'll believe you.
Well, the only one who has taken 10 wickets in the innings against England for the West Indies, Wilfred Ferguson, the leg spinner. Leg by. England 40 for 7. We'll have to start looking at the lowest score England have ever made against the West Indies. In fact, that is 71, and that was at Old Trafford, Manchester, 1976 series. And the lowest against anyone was England's 45 a few years back. In January 1887. England were dismissed for 45 by Australia. First test of that 1887 series. Well, they still haven't passed that. They've got 3 wickets in hand.
Yes, Walsh has got Graham Thorpe in a lot of trouble by bowling around the wicket. He's never looked comfortable, hasn't Graham Thorpe? It's in the sort of solar plexus, just under the rib cage a bit. He's got a bit of padding there, as Graham Thorpe, but I dare say that would have hit him just underneath it, between the thigh bone and the padding. It's so difficult for the left-hander around the wicket. If Walsh pitches it a foot outside off stump, he doesn't know whether the ball's going to come into the body or it's going to go away towards the slips. Look at that. What a magic delivery. Yes, I'll bet I'd be cross if I bowled a ball like that, Courtney Walsh. What a magic delivery. You see, Graham Thorpe is staying to leg stump. He's thinking the ball's going to come into his body and follow him. And it doesn't. It snakes away towards the slips. Too good for him, Courtney. It was a beauty. It's just hang in there. It's a real fiery baptism for the young Surrey left-hander. He played a magnificent innings for England in the first innings. Hung around, showed a lot of courage and character, and he's now getting a fearsome and torrid time from Courtney Walsh in the second innings.
So we come to the last over of this dramatic day's play. Curtly Ambrose to Chris Lewis. A day on which a test match which England seemed to have in their grasp at the start has been wrenched away from them, first of all by the lower order West Indies batting, and now conclusively by this quite magnificent piece of fast bowling by Curtly Ambrose. England camp looking almost shell-shocked there. Just 194 to win the match, and here they find themselves 40 for 7.
Well, this is a learning process for Graham Thorpe. What a lesson. What a lesson. He won't have played in anything as torrid as the last hour and a half's cricket. I've seen a lot of cricket in my time, and I've been excited by the last hour and a half.
Well, come on, get out there, will you?
Where's the bat? But only if Gal Hooper's bowling, not if Curtly Ambrose is bowling. I'm all right here, Curtly. It's safer.
Tell you what, he looks even dangerous from this distance. 2 balls left. And that's it. Curtly Ambrose strikes again. Graham Thorpe is bowled. Ambrose plucks out the stumps once more. And England are 40 for 8.
Well, that scoreboard 40 for 8 is just unbelievable. I mean, I've been saying all along in Guyana and here in Trinidad, these sort of pitches where the ball keeps low, if you play back often enough, you play back at your peril. Sooner or later, you're going to get a lowish ball. And when you get a low ball at pace, like Ambrose has been bowling and Walsh, then you're in big, big trouble. You see, halfway up the stump, he's been softened up by Courtney Walsh, really, as young Graham Thorpe. He's had a real baptism of fire, and eventually succumbed at the other end to Ambrose, because it's his day. He's been the man. He is Mr. West Indies, the Dark Destroyer.
Curtly Ambrose, 7 overs and 5 balls, 1 maiden, 6 for 22. Leaves the field to a tremendous ovation from this crowd here at the Queen's Park Oval. He's left England in absolute tatters, and the West Indies on a verge of their 3rd successive victory in the series. And here's how the carnage took place.
Well, there's not really an awful lot you can say about that, other than England are quite likely to lose this game. And here is why: because one man has bowled outstandingly, Curtly Ambrose, 6 for 22, and I should imagine David Gower will have a pretty happy Richie Richardson with him now.
Thanks, Charles. Richie, again a story where in the morning anything could have happened. Had you any idea this was going to happen today?
Certainly not. I never gave up, but I didn't think that at the end of today's play that we would have gotten 8 wickets and they would have been 40 runs, but you never know.
I'll come back to Curtly Ambrose in a moment. What were your instructions this morning to your batsmen?
Well, the plan was to bat until tea time, and then if we bat until tea and give them over 200 runs, we would be in for a match. Chandra and Winston batted extremely well, and we got a good lead just on the 200, and it's something that we thought we could work with, and we went out there with the intentions to get 5 wickets and we ended up getting 8, so we were happy.
Well, I don't know what you're going to say, because everything's been said about Curtly Ambrose so far that we really can. What can you say about his performance?
We just got to say he's the greatest, you know. I mean, whenever he's called upon to do a great job or to pull us out of a hole, he's always done so. So I just think he's simply the best.
Does that mean you're going to rate him higher than, say, the Roberts, the Holdings, the greats of the past?
I don't like to compare people, you know. I might get into trouble doing that, but I'll just say that he's the best at the moment.
How long do you think you can keep him going?
Well, I would like to keep him as soon as possible. I think he's good for 450 wickets at least. He might not think so, but I think so.
And hoping for rain tomorrow?
Well, the weather's looking pretty good, and I'm sure the sun is going to be its glory tomorrow.
Well, it's been a fantastic performance. Congratulations.
Richie Richardson will have the thoughts of Geoffrey Boycott now. Geoffrey, I'm not quite sure really where to start on this one.
Well, it's quite simple. We had an electrifying spell which left everybody breathless. I mean, Curtly's bowling was superb. I mean, people are always saying that in cricket, you know, that it's a slow game, nothing happens for so long. When anybody wants to know about cricket, they should watch the 15 overs. I mean, it was really exciting stuff.
Have you ever seen an England collapse in 15 overs like that?
No. No, I didn't think the batting was particularly good. I mean, give full credit to Curtly. I mean, he's a wonderful bowler. But, I mean, I was just making a note. There was one silly run out. Atherton and Thorpe played back. And I've been saying all along, sooner or later you're going to get low balls if you play back to full-length deliveries. Stewart and Smith picked the wrong line. They both played outside the line of the ball. And then we had Russell got a working over from Courtney Walsh, and then got out at the other end to Ambrose. And we had Hick and Salisbury just hanging the bats out, didn't we? So it wasn't the best of batting, really. I mean, when they look at that on film, people at home, a lot of people watching Sky play cricket, they're not dumplings, there's some of them play, they'll say to themselves, well, we didn't bat very well, but yet full credit to Kirtley.
The other thing is, of course, I mean, at the start of the day, England had high hopes of making it 2-1. Unless something extraordinary happens weather-wise, it is going to be 3-0.
Definitely, and very quickly as well tomorrow morning.
And what about the fact that, you know, a couple of slip catches went down when England were bowling today?
Oh yes, they'll have all that on the mind tonight. When they go to dinner, it'll be like a morgue for the England players. I mean, nobody will be speaking, nobody will be saying much, but they'll all be thinking of where they lost it, because they had the game in the hand. It was there for winning. 2 simple catches went down. Angus Fraser didn't bowl particularly well this morning. He doesn't look match fit. He looks exhausted, he looks tired out. I don't know whether that's anything to do with his preparation before he came on tour, or just that he's been out of international cricket. He hasn't been on a tour for 2 years now? I don't know, but he certainly didn't look fit, and we just didn't polish them off. I think the catch that went down early on, dropping Chanderpot early on off Chris Lewis, that was crucial, because if you get somebody out early in the day, plus they've got the right-hander out, the wicketkeeper, Junior Murray, then England were really into the tail quickly. So it's been a disappointing day for England.
I think disappointing is probably the understatement, Geoffrey. Thank you very much indeed. So the situation here is, as you can imagine, that the Trinidadians are quite happy with life and offering handkerchiefs and all sorts of things to us. And for England, the vision of victory was purely and simply a mirage. Now then, next on Sky Sports, we will tell you that the cricket tomorrow, for what it's worth, is going to be at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon here on Sky Sports. Maybe it will rain, maybe Fraser and the rest will combine well. Next, it's soccer news, then the Footballers' Football Show and then NASCAR. But from a depressing Trinidad, if you're an Englishman, good night. Good morning to you from Trinidad, where English cricket is still in a state of stunned incredulity by last night's dramatic events. This time yesterday, England could see the sight of victory. It was within their grasp, but it turned out to be just a mirage, and by the close yesterday, and indeed this morning, they know they're looking firmly and squarely once again down the barrel of defeat. Just in case you're not aware of what went on last night, this is the state that England find themselves after 15 overs of their second innings. They are 40 for 8, chasing 194. So their last 2 wickets have got to find another 154 if England are to win, or they have to survive 3 sessions. It is, of course, completely and utterly ridiculous to think that might happen. And let's have a look at the bowling figures, which will underline that Curtly Ambrose has produced one of the great spells of English Test demolitions. He has destroyed England's batting with a spell of 6 for 22 in 7 overs and 5 balls. Walsh got 1, and of course there was that Ramprakash run out. It's a little difficult to know what to say this morning here in Trinidad. There is just generally an air of massive depression about English cricket and around the England dressing room. With me, two men who have seen it all before, I'm sure, and will try to look positively on the bright side, David Gower and Bob Willis. David, first of all, could you believe that England basically lost 8 wickets in just 15 overs?
Well, not really any more than anyone else could. When we started that session, there was a big question mark as to what could happen. We thought, OK, perhaps if Ambrose and Walsh hit their straps, then 2 or 3 might go down if the worst came to the worst. We had no idea that it was going to be 8. And I must admit, having sort of been across here in previous tours where we've had a few nightmares, I've had a few nightmares of my own over here, and it seems a fairly desperate cricket played by England. This was no better.
Was it the worst performance by an England batting side you've ever seen in a Test match?
No, I don't know. I think I've actually seen worse in other parts of the world where, shall we say, against lesser bowling, England have managed to collapse just as effectively.
Now, Bob, what explanation can there possibly be for England losing 8 wickets in just 15 overs?
Well, they were completely caught in the headlights, weren't they? Rabbit in the headlights. They were completely fazed by Curtly Ambrose. The wicket first ball just deflated them. They'd had a bad day in the field before that. They hadn't bowled, fielded or caught well, and the batting was just the culmination of a terrible day.
What damage must this do to Michael Atherton's very young and inexperienced side, as well, they're going to lose this one and they've still got 2 Test matches to go?
I think they're quite a resilient bunch, but they're just totally outclassed. The West Indies are better in every department.
David, any thoughts of comfort to come out of this Test match as far as England are concerned?
Well, it's clutching at straws a bit, but you look at the positive side, as you always try and do. Fine, as Bob says, they've been outclassed. They're coming second by a distance, as it looks like now. But fine, Andrew Caddick, 6 wickets in that West Indies second innings. That'll do him a lot of good because he's been short of confidence. For the major part of this Test series, either been out the side or bowling not very well, to say the least. So at least he now knows that he can get 6 wickets against the best side in the world. Graham Thorpe, I thought, in the first innings batted very well. He looked far more at home than he had done really at any stage on the tour. And so there are crumbs of comfort here to be gleaned. Really, for me, what's important is that when they leave the West Indies at the end of this tour, whatever the result, however well or badly they recover from the shock of this defeat, when they leave the West Indies here, they've got to try and really concentrate on the plus side and really get themselves back up in time for New Zealand, which will only be, in effect, a month or so or less after they get home.
Well, the West Indies have taken the field, and here come Andy Caddick and Chris Lewis. As I say, the statistics, which I suppose are pretty academic, are that England need another 154 to win this Test match. And, well, if Caddick and Lewis could do that, it would be, well, quite simply the biggest surprise ever in Test cricket. I think we can probably discount it. The likelihood is that Ambrose is going to add to his tally of 6 wickets. It's a pretty sombre morning, really, for English cricket. Very much the morning after the night before. And we will go now to the commentary box, to Tony Cozier and Geoffrey Boycott.
Thank you, Charles. Well, it certainly is a sombre moment for English cricket, but one of great jubilation for the West Indies. Listening to the radio shows this morning and during the rest day, the feeling was that the West Indies would be really hard-pressed to get out of this one. One interview this morning before the start of play with one of the spectators. There are a few in the ground, in fact more than one would have expected, with only 2 wickets to fall. Spectator saying that he was praying for rain yesterday morning. Well, it would have been England who were praying for rain this morning, but as you can see, it's bright and sunny. Ambrose with just the 1 delivery to finish off this over. England's first target will be to rid themselves of the humiliation of falling for their lowest ever score in the 699 Test matches they've played. That was 45, 107 years ago at Sydney against Australia. They've got 5 runs to get to level that total. Just the 2 wickets. Andy Caddick is the batsman. And just asking for, well, there's an ambulance down there with the red light flashing. It was. Well, that's gone out now. Maybe that he was just asking for the red light to be taken off. There's that little sight board which has gone up just in front of the ambulance now, and I think that's just about to settle things. So we're ready for the start of play. Curtly Ambrose, who by his performance in this match is £50,000 richer. So that completes his over, and he is £50,000 richer because of a scheme announced before the start of this series by Securitized Endowment Contracts PLC out of England, a British company, which announced before the series started that any bowler taking, or the first bowler I should say, taking 10 wickets in the match, and any batsman making a double century, the first one, would get £50,000. Well, Curtly Ambrose is the first in the series to get 10 wickets in a match, and he is £50,000 richer, and that's a lot of money in whatever currency you're talking about. It will be presented to him during the West Indies practice session at Kensington Oval in Barbados next Thursday, prior to the Test match there. And I think West Indians will say he deserves every last penny. Walsh it will be, and he'll bowl to Chris Lewis. So Lewis gets 2, and a good shot to start off the morning with.
Well, it's very noticeable here that the first ball by Curtly Ambrose and then by Courtney Walsh, not too much fire and venom in those looseners.
It's almost impossible for Walsh, who really bowled well yesterday afternoon, just got the 1 wicket, but his support for Ambrose was exemplary. 7 overs, just 12 runs taken off him yesterday. Very difficult for him and Ambrose to find the same kind of inspiration that he did yesterday afternoon. That's in the air, and it's gone down towards finding Ambrose down there, and they'll come back for the second. So England have moved to 44.
Well, a slice of luck there for Chris Lewis. Really a top edge that could have gone anywhere. Probably he feels at this stage of the game he might as well play a few shots.
That England score of 45 we were mentioning as their lowest ever in Test cricket 107 years ago is not the lowest in Test cricket. New Zealand in fact hold that dubious honour. They made 26 against England. Was at Auckland in 1955. The West Indies lowest is 53. That was against Pakistan on the tour there. at Faisalabad in 1987. And there have been quite a few scores below the 50 mark in Test cricket. England in danger of going for under 50 here again. Completes the over from Courtney Walsh. It's 44-for-8. So Ambrose here with the opportunity of building on his haul. He had 6 wickets yesterday. He has taken 8 in an innings before. And that was at Bridgetown, the last time England were in the West Indies. Match-winning performance by him there as well. The most recent instance of an innings total in Test cricket under 50 was India's 42 against England at Lord's in 1974. So it's been 20 years since the team has been dismissed for under 50 in a Test match.
Well, he's certainly warmed up again as Curtly Ambrose. Those last 2 deliveries, and this one in particular, a lot of pace and bounce, banged it in short. Andy Carriott not playing it particularly well. It's difficult to be critical of the tail ender's batting performance when you've seen your top order batsman get knocked over so quickly, so convincingly. I think that was the thing that surprised everybody yesterday evening, was the speed of it all. One expected Ambrose and Walsh and company to make life very uncomfortable, very difficult for the England batsmen. And once they had to make nearly 200, one expected West Indies to win, but nothing to happen quite so quick as it did.
It all happened in just 14 overs and 5 balls yesterday afternoon. 80 minutes cricket. Don't think he's getting ready to bowl. So that brings England at least level with their previous lowest score of 45.
I think he's a little short this morning, Curtly Ambrose, yet. Everything's been knocked in short, the batsman playing back. And yesterday he got his wickets basically by pitching the ball up to a goodish length. He knocked out the stumps, LBWs. I think that's the secret when he's so tall and so aggressive and bowling a lot of aggression. Then batsmen are not too keen to get forward to him. That's a better delivery. Good length.
Well, that floored him. It jumped from very short of a length, just short of a length, and you'd have to put that down to the pitch.
Yes, you're seeing he's just looking to come forward. He's doing the right thing, is Chris Lewis. He's very brave, and it is right. It is the correct way, because although he got a nasty delivery, it didn't get him out, which I've been saying all along this match. You get these balls that bounce a bit, they give you a knock or two, but they actually very rarely take somebody's wicket. And that's the problem for batsmen. They see one of those, they take a knock or two, or it whistles past their chin or their chest, and then they start thinking about staying back. And then the next ball that's pitched round about the same place, instead of it jumping at you, it scuttles through low and you've had it.
Andy Caddick, we've seen already in this series, is a fair player for the position in which he bats. 29, and that last wicket partnership with Devon Malcolm up in Jamaica. 29 not out, in fact. Didn't play in the Georgetown Test. Target of 194, which seemed to have opened up the match. I think at the start of the England innings, 194, everyone would have said, well, it would be a close, tense finish. Ambrose, of course, spoiled all that yesterday afternoon. Everyone here anticipating an early finish today. A lot of changes in the flight bookings. I dare say some of the players also will be looking to move off to their respective homes, the West Indian players, early. Because there is a gap between now and the next Test match in Barbados. England team goes across to Grenada for a match against the President's 11. Quite a strong team has been assembled there to play against them in a 4-day match over the weekend, starting on Saturday. So an opportunity for the West Indies players to get home for the Easter weekend before coming back to Barbados to assemble for the Test match starting Friday week. That's gone. Comfortable catch, catching practice. Brian Lara takes it with no bother whatever. England are 45 for 9 with Caddick going for 1.
Well, it wasn't a particularly distinguished shot, just flailing at the ball outside off stump. Once you hang your bat out like that, it's the sort of thing where players on a morning give each other slip catching, and that's what it was. 45 for 9.
Here comes England's last man, Angus Fraser, to replace Caddick, with the score at 45, still level with that dubious distinction of the lowest score ever by England. Caddick going to a slip catch.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just a straightforward slip catch. You give these sort in the morning, somebody stands there, throws the ball, and you just open the face and help it to the slips, and there's nothing redeeming I could say about that shot.
Well, they'll soon be singing Amen in that well-known concrete stand, as they call it, where all the diehards sit. Well, close enough, but umpire Bucknor having a good look.
Yes, well, what saved him was just getting forward a touch. He tried to get on that front foot. See, the left foot just comes forward. It doesn't come very far, but it just saved him. Probably hit him just outside off stump. That's at least the umpire would have thought that. And the fact that he was forward, not back. He was trying to get forward, not a long way. It just helps the umpire decide in the batsman's favour.
They've changed their usual song here. They've gone into the hymn, Abide With Me. There's one of the most famous calypsonians in history, the gentleman in the suit and the distinctive cap with the hat with the guitar. It's Lord Kitchener, and of course he was at Lord's in 1950 when the West Indies beat England for the first time in a test match in England. So Kitch has been around for many, many years, and he's here today, still as popular as he's ever been. And there, with the bag over his shoulders, another top calypsonian here in Trinidad and Tobago, Gypsy. And there's a third top calypsonian in that group, Pretender, and Chalk Dust as well, I thought I saw in that group. So there are four top calypsonians who have come to sing the West Indies towards this victory, and four of the very top, perhaps along with the mighty Sparrow, no question, Lord Kitchener, one of the greatest of all time. And they recognise, those in the stand, that that's England's single to carry them past their lowest previous score. They're now 46 for 9. So Courtney Walsh now, and England can't look to the weather here for salvation. We did have quite a bit of rain overnight, early morning overcast, but it's broken. And that's in the air, Benjamin down there for it. The match is over, the West Indies have won. Winston Benjamin taking the catch. England all out for 46, with Lewis caught by Winston Benjamin off Courtney Walsh for 6. Leaving Angus Fraser not out, no score, and the West Indies take a 3-love unassailable lead in the series and retain the Wisden Trophy.
Well, I'm lucky enough to have seen a lot of Test cricket in about 30 years, but today is just the ending of proceedings. But last night, for an hour and a half, was one of the most dramatic and exciting parts of a Test match that I've ever seen. And those West Indian players, particularly the fast bowlers, deserve all the credit. I mean, Curtly Ambrose was exhilarating to watch. Maybe disappointing for me as a former England Test player, watching England's batsmen disappear so quickly, but I have to pay him credit. It really was drama, great theatre, and full credit to the West Indies.
So the West Indies win by 147 runs. They took 18 minutes this morning to take the remaining 2 wickets, and Curtly Ambrose is being, well, they're trying to at least lift him shoulder high. West Indian supporters down there very jubilant. Ambrose with a souvenir stump. He's done it again for the West Indies.
Well, he's not the easiest man to pick up at 6'8", those long legs. I don't think I'd like to be picking him up and carrying him on my shoulders.
A really tight match all the way through until yesterday afternoon when Ambrose asserted himself on proceedings. West Indies batting first after winning the toss, 252. Really was a struggle for them, with Richie Richardson, their captain, top scoring with 63, second highest score in fact in the entire match, and no one else really doing that much. 252. England would have been very pleased with that. 4 wickets for Angus Fraser and 4 wickets for Chris Lewis, both of whom used conditions well. Ian Salisbury, the leg spinner, picking up 2. And then England seemed to have placed themselves in a very strong position by taking a first innings lead of 76, thanks mainly to that partnership between Graham Thorpe and Jack Russell. Thorpe making 86, rather surprisingly retained, but certainly making the selectors' policy come good. Ian Salisbury at the end there with a very important innings. Ambrose 5 for 60, but the West Indies bowling looked somewhat flat in that innings, with the exception of Ambrose. Walsh took 2, Winston Benjamin 3, and Kenny Benjamin, who had come into the match as a leading West Indies wicket-taker, didn't take a wicket. And the West Indies really struggled at first. They went into the rest day, they were only 67 runs ahead going into the rest day with only 5 wickets standing. The top 5 batsmen had gone, but a couple of dropped chances allowed 19-year-old Shivnarayan Chandapal to make 50, and he got very good support, especially from the swashbuckling Winston Benjamin, who made 35. 269 all out. Andy Caddick with his best figures in Test cricket, 6 for 65, and Chris Lewis chipping in once more with 3 more wickets, 3 for 71. That gave the West Indies the opportunity of something to bowl at. England had 196 runs to win the match, and they collapsed. Absolute collapse yesterday before the whirlwind that is Curtly Ambrose. He took 6 of the 8 wickets to fall yesterday for 40, and this morning England adding only 6 runs and just barely getting over the further ignominy of falling for their lowest ever score in Test cricket. Curtly Ambrose, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 6 for 24. So he finished the match with 11 wickets for 84. 11 wickets for 84. Walsh picking up 2 of the wickets this morning, both of them, and finishing with 3 for 16. So the West Indies win by 147 runs, 3-0 advantage in the series. They retain the Wisden Trophy with 2 matches to go. So as Lord Kitchener and Gypsy serenade the jubilant West Indies spectators here at the Queen's Park Oval, we'll be back after the break.